How's it going, guys? It's Nutshell, and today I'm going to tell you how to make PvE surprisingly easier, and you only really need either one of two things to actually make it that much easier and survive way more in your raids, and it's just that simple. Just having this item is going to save you a ton of gear and also your time and make it just 10 times easier to get through some of the tasks that are in the game. So with that being said, if you enjoy videos like this one, make sure to like the video. It's the best thing you can do, and we'll jump in straight away. So first things first, what is this item? Well, it is the Flare. The Flare is one of the best things that you can have in PvE, and I stand by it. We've tested it out many times, and it will save your life no end. And then the second item is the Trion Reap IR thermal scope. Now, both of these have their positives and negatives in that, the Flare is pretty good at being able to easily detect enemies within the game, and the Trion is just a better kind of usable scope, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's really personal preference which one you would rather have in the game, and whether or not you've unlocked the barters for one or the other is really kind of going to be the key factor. But either way, whichever one you use, it is just going to make it a ton easier. And so in terms of getting either of these, you can find the barter for the Flare from Mechanic at loyalty level 4. So you just need 2 Iridium, you need an MGT, and you need 2 of those, and you also need 3 MCBs. So it isn't too bad to be able to unlock this barter. You can get 1 every single reset, and usually I'll at least have 3 flares at any one time, dependent on how often you're getting taken out. But with this, you shouldn't really get taken out that often, because it just basically makes the game that much easier. And you can also pick one up from Jaeger at loyalty level 3, which you can find here, but this one costs you 676,000 rubles, so it's considerably more expensive if you don't have Mechanic loyalty level 4. So either way, they're not too expensive. You play a raid on Lighthouse, you just go and do a little loot run, and you've probably got enough to buy yourself 4 flares in a row. So it's really not too bad in terms of money-wise to actually pick one of these up, and the amount it's going to save you over gear costs and everything, insurance costs, and also just being able to survive longer in your raids and pick up more loot, etc. It's going to make your money back, so absolutely worth it for me at least. And you've also got a barter trade that you can do, but this one requires 10 sugars, so absolutely not worth doing at all. And then some aqua marine water as well, so definitely not worth doing this trade, as it's going to cost you like 1 point something million. Either way, not too bad. So Flare 676. You can also pick up the Trion at Mechanic, and this one requires 4 Iridium, 4 MCBs, and 4 power filters if you want to pick one up from Mechanic, which is loyalty level 4, and you have to have completed Gunsmith part 22, so quite far down the task line that you can actually do. But you also have it available at Skier, which is probably the preferable one which you're going to actually get it from. So you can see here, this is loyalty level 4, so Skier. You don't need any quests or anything to actually unlock it. This one is much more manageable. You got 5 clocks, 6 rollers, and 6 skulls. So it's going to cost you like probably in the region of about 1 million rubles, maybe slightly less. So it is more expensive than the Flare, but it is really personal preference. I'd highly recommend having one of each, testing it out, see what you like. Remember, this is PvE. We are all just farming money, and if you don't spend it on things like this to try them out, I'd think you're missing out quite a lot. So either way, that is kind of the idea where you can get the sites. But how does it actually improve your gameplay? Well, let's jump into that. Now, if you have any tasks that are requiring you to take out specific people within your raids, if it's required to, go out and try and really difficultly take out bosses or whatever, what you can do with the Flare and the Trion is actually be able to spot those bosses, those enemies from much further away, which allows you to then kind of plan out what you want to do. It's far more tactical in terms of how you can decide how you engage them, and you can actually find that you'll find enemies that you just never would have seen otherwise, or maybe very much be hidden in a bush, for example, but you do get that bright red if you're using the Flea, and then you get like a black outline if you're using the Trion. Either way, both of them highlight the enemies very, very well. And so when you are using the Flea, for example, you can really easily pinpoint where opponents are. The Flea itself doesn't have the best range on it. It's anywhere from like 250 to 300 meters as where you can actually get the thermal on the scope. So it isn't the best for long distance engagements, but that is not what you're really using the actual sight for. It's for navigating where enemies are and finding them before they find you, which on PvE is one of the biggest things, one of the hardest things, because of the fact that AI don't care whether or not you've really seen them or whatever. There is some things that we'll delve into in a video coming soon with the AI response to you and sighting them and stuff like that. But in terms of the Flea, it's very good for just spotting enemies and spotting them from further away than you normally would. Or if you're struggling to find out where an opponent has ran to, you can do it very, very easily. Same with the Reap IR as well. So either one will allow you to see those opponents, and what you can do from there is swap back to a main weapon. I use it primarily as a searching mechanic. For example, if I'm doing sniper tasks or whatever, what I'll have is a secondary weapon, as you can see here in the screen here, that we've got an SR3M with the Flea scope on, and we've got our SV98 with a normal Voodoo on, I believe. And so what we can do with that is essentially, if maybe I wanted to use the sniper with the Flea on, what we can do in the raid is actually go into our weapon and we can demount the Flea, and then what we can do is we can drag on this onto our SR3M and drop the Flea on. It takes a little bit of time to do it in your raid, but as long as you stay in cover, you can do that very easily, and you can do that really, really consistently, and that allows you to, you know, depending on what sort of engagements you're hoping to get into, if you're going for those long distance shots on something like, for example, the goons, or if maybe you're going after shots into the rogues on Lighthouse, for example, as you've been seeing in the clips, that, you know, you can use the SV98 with the normal scope and then have the SR3M for any close quarters engagements that you might have, or vice versa if you're going long, kind of short distance and then long distance with the sniper. And you're essentially using it as a scan for you yourself, like a personal radar almost, to be able to detect where the enemies actually are in your games. And if you play like that, you'll find yourself just being able to run through raids. Like, you will be able to find a lot of opponents very easily, and it doesn't have to just be a sniper with, you know, a machine gun. You could use anything that can actually mount the Flea on top of it and just have it as a secondary weapon. Just insure it, make sure that your Flea is always insured, because you don't want to lose 600k if you do actually get taken out. And that is pretty much what I do with the Flea and the Reap IR. I think it's one of the best things that you can do, and hopefully this video at least gives you an indication, if maybe you didn't realize how powerful it is in PvE and how good it actually is in PvE, then be sure to let me know. And of course, if you've got any other things that you would actually add in, or things that you find useful that maybe I haven't covered on the channel before, make sure to comment them in the comment section down below. I'll credit you in a video if we decide to make a video on those topics, and hopefully you enjoyed this one. Be sure to like it once again, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.